Right? Talk about Steven, right? He'd have
Yeah.
been, come on, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can go live 5 minutes early because we're really, 5 minutes late because we should have been 10 minutes early because then we'd have been on time because that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But we were definitely on time, right? We've been hanging out together for a while and
We have.
laughing, and we've been waiting on Joe is what we've been doing. Joe's been holding up. Well, here's Joe right here. Look, we got an empty chair for Joe. That's what's there for Joe. He came on, but we haven't seen his face.
Yeah.
There ain't no telling. So we're
He's got
listening to
the
Denver.
he's got the air defense thing on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's an old 14 Echo air defender, right? And so he's got those kind of good roots.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're listening to Swings by Denver, or Denver by Swings, and I'm here with Maria Adams and Joe. We're gonna hide him off right there, and we're gonna hang out for a little while. It's just so interesting and cool to talk to people that are in positions like you, right? I watched you from afar and your husband from afar. I was a few years kind of ahead.
Uh-huh.
So, Stephen was one of those stars that kind of came up after I was there, right? It was kind of
Right.
behind my time. And he wasn't in the units that I was in when I was there, but I watched that rising star the whole time, and Facebook come around and friends and sharing and stuff. And one of the things that it gives or gave was an opportunity to see the other side of his life. And so we got shown you, right? And you became a Facebook friend of mine, and we're watching everything go along, and Steven's doing his flying lessons and all that stuff. And next thing you know, oh
Yeah.
my, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're here talking, everybody, with Maria Adams, the wonderful, beautiful wife of Command Sergeant Major Stephen Adams, who rests in health, is just gone away. He is transitioned ahead of us because he got it right before we did. We're still working on ours. We're still trying to figure out, but the Lord saw fit that it was time for him to move on and transition and graduate.
Right.
What's it like to be Maria Adams?
What's it like? I'm still trying to figure that out.
Right?
Um,
Aren't we all? I always still want to know what I'll be when I grow up, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, I was always Mrs. or Command Sergeant Major Adams' wife, so I'm still trying to figure out who I am.
Amen.
It's
Amen.
like
Yeah.
I know I can do things, and I know I can. I moved my boys and myself from Mississippi to Texas in 2 weeks.
I watched that, right? You posted on Facebook. I was like hanging on every move, right? You and a whole clan. I mean, like, golly. And y'all picked up and did what
Yeah.
you did and made it happen. And it drew
Hmm.
y'all closer together, I'm sure,
It
right?
did. It did actually. It really did. After he passed away, my son, who's at Mississippi State, said, "It's okay, Mom. We got this."
I,
You know,
I, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Tell me about young Maria, right? Where are you from?
I was born in El Paso. I was born and raised in El Paso, Texas.
Look, I'll tell you this straight up. If I could have married an El Paso woman, I think I might would have too. I'm telling you, there's an interesting dynamic to that type of hospitality.
Yeah.
There's a humility and a wonderfulness of the traditions that come from that part of the country and that culture. And I will tell you, El Paso was one of the nicest cities to me and my family when we were stationed there. I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved the people. Tell me about what it was like to be from El Paso and those times. I mean, there was times when it was known as Gangville, but
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
knew where to stay out of, you didn't have no problems.
Oh, I didn't. I knew where not to go and where to be, and so there was before Steve and I got married. It was still we were still able to go to Juarez. So there was a couple times where he and I would go to Juarez, and after he got orders to go to Fort Stewart, um, when he got orders to go to Fort Stewart, I cried the entire time. And then he got orders to go back to Fort Bliss, and I cried because I didn't want to go back.
Oh wow, it's wild. So it is interesting how you create these roots everywhere you go in a
Yeah,
military, and you get a local community, a little church you're going to. The
yeah,
kids are involved in school and programs and clubs, and next thing you know, it's like the army goes, "Boop, we need to move you out of the country," and
yeah,
you're like, "Okay," and you and your family pick up and and go. And I look, to
yeah.
be honest with you, the army moves are kind of they're pretty easy if you really look at it, right? They come in, they pack you up, they
Yes,
take care of your stuff for the most part, and
for the
off
most
you
part.
go. Yeah, right. Except with your German trunks and stuff you
Oh my
got
gosh, yeah.
and your collectibles. But if you realize that you're living a modular life and you just take that into account when you buy your furniture and things,
Yeah.
you can do it. You can
Hmm.
do it. Um, what was five boys, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Tell me about that. Brag on your kids for a minute.
Well, my older two, my oldest one lives in Austin, and he works for a company that puts together, um, equipment for uh, everything and anything that engineers do or use. He's in charge of a couple people, and he just does it. And he got promoted, so And then my second one, he's my preemie. He's my autistic child. When he was born at 28 weeks, and he only weighed like 3 pounds.
Oh,
Um, the doctor had actually come in and told me, he said, he's not going to make it. Well, my mom got really mad, and he said, don't tell her that. It's not up to you. It's up to God whether he leaves the baby or not. And he is 26 years old now. He's getting his bachelor's degree in business and accounting. Um, he used to have seizures, but he hasn't had any in years, so he doesn't have that anymore. He drives. Um, he's actually should be on his way home from work, because he's staying here with me for a couple of days before till he can get his apartment in Dallas. Um, and then my third child, he's an aerospace engineer, or will be an aerospace engineer. He is the one that is at Mississippi State right now, and we went to go see a couple of rocket launches that he did, and his team did. The last one I couldn't go because we were in the middle of moving. So they had a 30-foot rocket that went up to 30,000 feet.
so I saw that. They shot this rocket up, and then some other team, like in another state, went and picked it up when it landed.
Yeah.
They like put an Apple AirTag on it and like followed it where it landed.
No, it has like a little tracking device, but they couldn't get to it because it was in an area where they couldn't have access to it. So the other team picked it up for them and mailed it back to Mississippi State. So they finally got it. And Matthew gets to design this year's rocket. So I'm very excited to see what he designs.
Did you see the rocket that Jeff Bezos designed?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. All right, well make sure your son does something as easily as good as old Jeff Bezos does, okay? It's got to be at least that good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That is so cool.
Yeah, and then my 20-year-old, he works at Ford right now. He's working at the dealership here at Ford. He works at the parts department, but he's gonna go back to school. He wants to be a mechanic, so you know, my 13-year-old, he's doing really good now. It's in Mississippi. Um, he had friends, but I I don't know. I guess it depended on the cliques that the kids had. So he only had a couple friends here. I was worried. I kept thinking, did I make the right decision? By moving us, because he was going to be in 8th grade. He would have been like the top dog in middle school. um, and so I doubted myself. I was like, did I do the right choice? Did I make the right choice? But looking at him and looking at his face and how happy he is, I definitely did.
Hey, look, it is so wild to have children of that transition age,
Hmm.
even more so these days,
Yeah.
because kids don't talk to each other. They don't
No.
even sit in the lunchroom and sit down and eat together anymore and have to, right? That's what we had to. You had to find somebody to go sit with and eat
Right.
lunch. They don't even eat lunch anymore. It's just
Right.
really wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so congrats, great job, mom. And right,
Thank
that's
you.
ends up being the focus of your world for a while. And when your
Hmm.
kids are not doing well, mama's not doing well.
Right.
Come
Right.
on, that's your DNA. That's that motor that runs inside of you that you can't control.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's mama bear, right? Don't mess with my kid. I'm gonna get you. Hmm.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, good for you. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. What makes you, what drives you other than your children? You know, what do you like to do on your free time, maybe?
Well, here lately, I've been going to the gun range because I've got a new gun. I got a Smith and Wesson 9 millimeter. So got, I want to get my license to carry so I can have it with me, because you never know. But, it's actually been kind of fun. So when Steve and I were first married, he had a gun. Um, and I remember this very clearly. He had, he liked to smoke food a lot. So one of the days that he had gone to go shooting, he didn't tell me that he left the smoker on. And it was on a, what do you call it? The wood. It was a wood deck.
Okay.
Well, he didn't tell me that the smoker was on,
Hmm.
and the deck caught on fire.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I got really upset with him, and I said, "You're not going shooting anymore. You're going to get rid of that gun because I'm not going to stay home and take care of your smoker." So he got rid of the gun.
Oh my. Oh my. Isn't it amazing how our reactions to certain mistakes change the world, right?
Yeah.
Change the world. You're not putting me through that again, young man. And he was
Yeah.
like, "Yes, ma'am, 3 bags full."
Yeah.
Oh wow. So did he ever get another barbecue grill?
He did, but this last that next time I made him put it on the cement instead
Ah,
of
there you go.
the wood deck.
So how did you meet Steven?
I met him at the airport in El Paso.
Were you like a statue standing there waiting for him to come by or
No,
something? Did you grab
no,
him?
no. He was actually standing there. I was walking in or something, and I remember, he's asking me for my name and my number, and I looked at him like, uh,
Oh,
what?
hold on. So now you're just randomly walking through the airport, and this guy's like, "Can I get your name and number?"
Yes.
You're just like, got my little bag. I'm coming back from Dallas. And
No,
hey, can I get your number?
I was walking in because I was going to go drop something off, and he was I think he was the one that was coming back from leave, and yeah, he asked me for my name and number. Usually I would just be like, say a fake name and give him a fake number, but I didn't with him.
Okay, all right. So this is smooth. This is smooth. You got to tell me this. You got to tell me how Sergeant Major grabbed you up out of the airport. So what line did he say? Hey, chica, looking good. I mean, what? I mean, I don't get it. What did he do? Did he walk up behind you and pinch you on your butt or something?
No.
Put his arm around you?
No.
How'd that work out? Tell me what he did.
He didn't do any of that.
He wink at you, you know,
Smile.
give you a secret.
No,
he speaks Spanish. That's what he did. He spoke Spanish. Huh?
No. He just smiled at me and.
Dude.
Yeah.
It was meant to. So you were like, of course, here's my number.
I was kind of hesitant, but I gave him my number. And then I went to work the next day and I told my coworkers that I had given him my number. And I was thinking, I shouldn't have done that. And they're like, no, I mean, if he seems nice, go out with him. And I'm going, okay, sure. So then he called me and we went to dinner at Village Inn, and we were at Village Inn for almost 4 hours, just sitting there talking.
Wow. So walking in the airport. Hey, chica, let me get your number. And then he scoops it up. Next thing you know, he's got you locked. You're on lockdown, girl. He got radar lock on you, and you were walking through the dang airport. That's what happened. Man, I'm impressed with this guy. I'm impressed. So you know. Like, how old were you? What were you doing in your life?
I was 21, 22. I was going to school. I wanted to be a doctor, actually, when I grew up. And I was in college, and none of that happened.
What do you mean? Well, none of that happened. Well, what happened? So you gave him your number. You went to Village Inn. He's next thing there. He's your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. My boyfriend, and then 6 months later, he's my husband.
Oh man, he's like one shot, one kill, baby. Woo! He's 88 of the max, man. Huh? Find, fix, and finish, man. He's using some doctrine on us right there now. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Look. I tell you what, that just makes my heart go pitter patter. So you're in college, you find this man of your dreams standing there, you know, at the airport, and you guys hit it off and kind of start a life together, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what did your parents think about it? Did they like Steven? So, yeah, they loved him. That's obvious, right?
Well,
they're like, yes, sir.
Well, my dad, when I first brought him over, my dad was like, "What are your intentions with my daughter?" You know, and Steve says, "I intend to marry her," and my dad's like, "We'll see." And it was funny because Steve and I actually, so when we got married, we eloped. We didn't tell anybody. And what happened was I added him to my car insurance. And when I went to add him to my car insurance, you know, I was talking to the agent and stuff. And then we left. And I get home and my dad says, "Hey, so do you have something to tell me?" And I said, "No, what are you talking about?" He says, "You don't have anything to tell me?" And I said, "No." And he says, "So you didn't get married today?" And I said, "Oh, yeah. How did you know?" And he says, "Well, the insurance guy called and said you added him to our insurance." And I'm sitting there and I'm like, "That dumb motherfucker." So that's how my dad found out that I got married.
Oh my! So did he immediately break out the tequila and throw a party, or was he ready to rip somebody's head off?
He was ready to rip somebody's head off.
Oh man! Oh
But,
man!
after he got to know him and after he got to, spend more time with him, he loved my husband too.
What was it about Steve that made you, love him so much? He was a lovable character, right?
He was.
He was so like, get it done and get it done right. But the whole time you loved him. He inspired you somehow. It was really
Yeah.
neat, right?
Yeah. I don't know. He was just a great, great husband. Yeah. He listened. He was always there.
I
He
love,
joked
I love,
around.
I love it how a wife describes the best husbands as the ones that listen.
Yeah.
The worst husbands are described as the ones who didn't listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did y'all like to do together? Other than kiss and hug and stuff. What did y'all like to do? Did y'all go for walks, or y'all ride bikes, or y'all watch TV series
So
together?
he used to watch TV when he would watch TV with me. So I would watch Dancing with the Stars, Grey's Anatomy. Um, you know, there was a couple shows like FBI shows that we watched together, and um, those weren't his favorite, but he sat there and he watched them with me because I liked watching them. And he didn't really watch the shows, but he sat there with me just to be with me. Um, Sometimes I would look over and he'd be asleep, but it's okay because he was there. And then we would go. So before he passed away, we used to go bike riding a lot. Um, when I first started bike riding with him, he wanted me to go 10 miles. I said, "You're crazy. I haven't gotten on a bike since I was 10." And so I said, "I will go 5 miles, 2 miles, and then 2 miles back, or 2.5 miles and then 2.5 miles back." And he says, "That's not enough miles." And I said, "It might not be for you, but it is for me." So then after a while, I kept up with him. I remember one day we rode 20 miles. And I said, "You're trying to kill me." And he said, "No, I'm not trying to kill you. I'm trying to make you stay healthy." And I'm like, yeah, no, 20 miles is way too much for me."
It's bicycling is tough, right? It's like you think it wouldn't be so hard. You're like, oh, come on, and just ride a bike. I can ride a bike, but then you get to
Oh,
that hill, you're like, what in the world, man?
yes, yes. And Hattiesburg had a lot of hills, believe it or not. It was crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what's it like shooting that pistol? Do you like the power of that pistol going, in your hand? Is that something that's cool to you, or does
Yeah, it
that
is.
scare you?
No, it's really cool. My
Right? It's
son,
a
Brian, wants me to shoot some, um, what is it, AK-48, some
yeah, AK forty
powerful.
seven,
Yeah,
a rifle.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, "No, I'm good." He says, "It's really cool, Mom. You should try it." And I
Oh
said,
yeah,
"No,
right.
no, I'm okay."
So, have you ever been in like what you would consider to be danger, where you might have to, use a weapon to defend yourself? Have you ever been put in that kind of a situation?
No, no. Luckily, I haven't. Knock on wood. Let's hope it stays that
Amen.
way. But no,
Yeah, but don't let nobody mess with your boys. Now, Mama Bear will
no.
get busy.
Yeah.
Mama Bear get busy, right? What is it that you said you wanted to be a doctor when you were
Hmm.
a kid? What is it like? I don't even know how to ask this question, but you're in a situation that's really interesting. What is it like to just kind of look around and go, I need to make a new me all of a sudden? I'm young, my kids are growing up. What's the next step for Maria? That's got to be kind of exciting, at least for me. I had to think about it and watch, right?
Um, it's kind of it's kind of exciting, but it's not something that I ever thought I would be in. You know, um, it's so like here lately, I've been traveling a lot with Benjamin. I take him to whatever camps we get offered for, like with TAPS or um, Tuesdays Children or like organizations that support widows and the kids. So here lately, it seemed like every month we were traveling somewhere. Um, in June, uh, yeah, in June. So in at the end of May, we went to DC for the TAPS convention that they had there, and we were there for a week. Then we came back, and then in June, I drove him to Tennessee so he could go fishing because he liked to go fishing. So I said, It's only 7 hours. I can do a 7 hour drive." And we drove 7 hours. He went fishing, and I hung out at the hotel. Um, and then, so like this last weekend, we were in San Antonio, which was fun. It's not my favorite city to visit, but you know, he had fun, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, yeah. Can you do me a favor and take me back to the day when you found out that something wasn't quite right with Steven?
So we had actually gone to, so he had to do some training. We had gone to Rock Island. There was the general was changing out, and he got this really bad back pain that it was to the point where he couldn't even move, um, and that was not normal for him. And then we came back, and he was always walking or running or going on a bike or something. In the neighborhood we lived in, um, he couldn't even go up the hill to the stop sign because he ran out of breath. And he's like, "I'll be okay." And I said, "I don't think so. There's something wrong. So I'm going to make an appointment for the doctor." And he said, "No, no, I'll be fine." I said, "No, I don't think you'll be fine. We need to make an appointment." And he says, "No, I'll just go to work." So the next day he went to work, and um, our doc called me, and he says, "Hey, you need to meet me at the emergency room." And I said, "What's wrong?" And he says, "Steve has a sharp pain on his chest." And I said, "Okay, I will be right there." And it usually from the house to the hospital, it was about I don't know, 25-minute drive. I made it in 10. Um, and we were in the emergency room, and um, they did, they did one of those stent things on his heart, and they said he can't go home. He's going to have bypass surgery. And I said, "What?" And he says he has to have bypass surgery. Well, the doctor had originally thought it was only going to be like a, double bypass surgery. It turned out to be a, a quadruple one. And I said, "Are you sure there isn't any other way we could do this?" And he said, "No, we're the arteries are, or the way the arteries are, there is no way that we can put a stent in there. So he's going to have surgery. Well, he did really well with that. The heart went great. Um, and he was doing everything he was supposed to. Um, and then he started getting a pain on his abdomen. And I thought, it was because of his heart. Maybe there was something wrong. So I kept contacting the heart doctor, and they said no, there's something else wrong. So they did uh, an MRI, and they caught like this much of the liver, and they noticed that there were some lesions on the liver, and the gastroenterologist comes in and he says, you need to prepare for some bad news. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, there's some lesions and we need to do uh, a what do you call it?
Biopsy, maybe.
Biopsy. Yeah, we need to do an biopsy, but we couldn't get the appointment till the day before Thanksgiving. And I had noticed that he was in a lot of pain, and he wasn't drinking and eating like he was supposed to be. So I kept contacting the doctors and telling them, this isn't right. There's something else wrong. Then they did the biopsy, and Thanksgiving Day, he says to me, this is probably going to be our last holiday together. And I said, no, don't say that. You're going to be fine. And so the day after Thanksgiving, I took him to the emergency. Before I took him to the emergency room, he says, this needs to be a family decision. And I looked at him and I said, no, there is no family decision. I'm making the decision and I'm taking you to the emergency room. Put your shoes on. And he looked at me and I said, put your damn shoes on. We need to go to the emergency room. And he's like, fine. So, he was still fighting me. And so we went to the emergency room, and we didn't have the results of the biopsy until Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And the oncologist comes in, he says, I don't think that he's going to make it. He might have a couple days or a couple weeks. Well, by this point, his kidneys were already giving up. So a couple days, just that's all he had left. So on December 5th, before he passed away, I made my kids go home early, but then I noticed there was something wrong, and I called them back, and I said, you need to come and say goodbye to your daddy because I don't think he's gonna make it tonight. And so the boys came back. They were in there with him, telling them, that they loved him and whatever. And when the boys left, I told him, I said, it's okay if you are ready to go. I will be okay. And 5 minutes after that, I said that. He took his last breath and he was gone.
Amen. Thanks for sharing that, Maria. Oh my gosh, I just can't imagine going through those things with your children and the father. And look, he's an active duty soldier, right? He's the epitome of his unit, right? The epitome of
Yeah.
health and such a great leader. It was tragic. It was tragic. Tell me about, there's no atheist in foxholes. You don't watch this happen without having a spiritual experience. Tell me about that part of it. Can you share some of that?
Um, well, it's funny you say that because so like after he passed away, I kept thinking, I need to know if he's okay. It sounds dumb, but everywhere he would go, I would always ask him, "Are you okay? Did you make it there okay?" And he would be like, "Yes, I'm fine." And it's like, "I'm tired. I just need to take a nap." And I said, "Okay, well, when you wake up, let me know that you're okay." Just the mom in me, I guess. And um, so when we were at the funeral home, I asked the lady at the funeral home. I said, "Is he okay?" And she says, "He's yeah." And I said, "Okay." So after we had his ceremonies and everything, I had a dream about him. Um, he came into my dream, and I asked him. I said, "Are you okay?" And he said to me, he says, "I am okay, and you're gonna be okay too."
That's such a blessing, right? It is so awesome,
Yeah.
what the Spirit brings us when we need it, and the assurances that our spiritual life brings. How how has this affected your boys?
Um. Well, they miss their dad. They but they know that daddy would want them to be successful. Like Matthew, because my worry was Matthew wouldn't want to go back to school and finish his degree. And when I said to Matthew after when he came back home for winter break and break was over, I said, "You're going to go back to school, right?" And he says, "Yeah, because that's what daddy would want." So, he went back to school. And the other boys are like, "This is what daddy would want. This is, daddy didn't give up. Daddy, he was a sergeant major. He still was able to get his degrees. He was able to get his pilot's license as a sergeant major and still be in charge of all these soldiers and still do his work." So, yeah, I think I can do it too.
Amen. There's no doubt you can do it. So, what tell me a little bit. Let's just reminisce about some of the best times in you guys' life up until now. Are there some great times that you guys spent together? Do you remember a vacation you went to, or was the birth of a child
Oh,
particular? I mean, you talked about having a premature child. Oh,
I
wow.
did.
Talk about
And I had a
stressing.
and then I had a kid on Father's Day. He he told me, but when I was going into labor, he said to me, "Don't you have this kid on Father's Day?" And I said, I can't help it if the baby wants to come today." So he would tell everybody or anybody that would listen, "How do you pay her back for that? She gave me a kid on Father's Day."
Oh,
And I
that's
said, "You
great.
can't."
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. So if you had to go back and live 1 year of your life again, what year would that be?
Oh my gosh. Probably last year before he passed away.
Oh wow, right? Doesn't that make you realize that we're kind of in heaven, and we don't really realize it because it's
Yeah,
so precious and so tender, and we're all so close and so connected,
yeah,
and so yeah, blessings to you, right? Isn't that an interesting thing?
yeah.
Um, where are you gonna carry your gun
In my truck.
at? You better lock. Hey, get you one of those little safes and have it mounted in there with one of them codes or a fingerprint print scanner or something like that,
Yeah,
so
I
you can
have one
kind
of
of get
those.
to it.
I have one of those right now next to my bed, but I need to get one for the truck. Or I can get one of those purses that I can put my gun in there.
Pew 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 pew. Watch out! Watch out! Watch out! What other hobbies do you think you're going to take up here? Do you like needlepoint or crochet or watch a I mean, you talked about watching specific TV shows. You still watch a lot of TV? What is it? What is it you
um,
do?
I don't watch as much TV. So I used to do a lot of like craft things, but I don't want to get too comfortable doing all that stuff in this house yet because I know we're only here temporary. Because
Oh,
I'm having my house built. So once the house is built, you know, I'm going to be moving again. And that will be where I have to, rearrange everything and stuff like that. So, like right now, right now, I just go for walks or work out. Um, if I have to go anywhere, um, I don't mind driving in Dallas, actually. My son asked me the other day, he says, "Aren't you tired of driving in this traffic?" And I looked at him and I said, "No, Matthew, I'm not." I said, "You have to remember, this is where your daddy and I were going to retire. So this is my happy place." And he looked at me, he's like, "Well, I this is not my happy place. I don't like driving around here." And I said, "Well, that's why you don't ever drive around here. I'm always driving you." And he says, "Yep."
well, he's 13, right?
No, this is my 24-year-old.
Oh, you're 24-year-old. Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Okay, I got it. I
Yeah.
got it.
My 13-year-old, he is I'm trying to find an archery team for him because he likes to do archery. Um, and then he is in soccer also. So
Look, archery is one of the best things you can get somebody into, right?
yeah.
It's renewable. You don't use up the bullet every time, so you don't have to buy more bullets. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, it's
it's
true.
exercise. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to break an arrow and you're going to lose an arrow. There's going to be things like that. But every time you pull the trigger on a bullet, it's gone. It's not
It's
okay. Go get
gone.
it, boys. You're not going to do that.
And bullets are not cheap.
No, they're not. They're not. But the other nice thing about archery, right, is there's not a lot of thugs hanging around archery ranges. When you go
That's
around
true.
archery range, you're finding people that are helpful and that have spent money to be there and are going
Hmm.
to take many times. If you're not an archer, you can find a mentor that will go, and if you kind of get them set up with all the equipment, you'll find a neighborhood dad that'll help out and be a mentor to him.
Yeah.
And when they go, and the 3D archery and stuff is all kinds of cool. I happen to know like a world class archer guy. He's like the 50 and older world champion. He and I were jumpmaster instructors together back in the 90s. His name is Keith
Wow.
Trail. Keith, if you're watching this, reach out to me. We might need to get some help for our son. Maybe you can
Yeah.
hook him up with a
Please.
rig. Maybe because he's got access. He owns a bow shop, and I mean, we might could get him a youth rig or something. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Maybe we'll find out more about it.
Yeah.
But what kind of things do you like to do when you work out? Are you a cardio? Do you lift weights? What kind of things do you do?
um
Zumba?
Oh, I don't like Zumba. No, I'm. I'd rather just do, cardio or uh, some weights. I don't like to do a lot of heavy weights, but I do that and just cardio mainly.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's such a blessing to meet you and hang out with you, you know.
Thank you.
Tell me something about Sergeant Major Adams that maybe we don't know. Is there something about him or a situation or something that would be favorable to him that maybe the most of the public don't know? And then the same question to you. Okay, what is it about you that nobody knows? So for Sergeant Major Adams, and then the question I want to hear about what nobody knows about you too. So
Um, I don't. I mean, I there's nothing really. Nobody really knew about him.
really,
He everybody knew he liked to buy cars every year. That he liked to fly. He liked to cook. Um, he was funny. He always had us laughing. Um,
if you were going to say who his favorite commander was, who would it be?
uh, he had two of them. So um, I would definitely say at the time he was Major Guide. Now he's Colonel Guide. Um, he was his favorite. And then Colonel Branson. Um, but yeah, Major Guide. He actually, Steve convinced him to teach me to drive standard because my husband didn't have the patience to teach me.
Hey, look, don't teach your wife golf or how to drive a stick shift. Neither one, okay? Neither one. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth
He
it.
used to get so mad at me when we would go to the golf course, and I would be like, "I want to drive the golf cart." He said, "No, I want to drive the golf cart." I said, "No, you're going to go play golf." And he says, "I'm not even a very good golf player. I just want to drive the golf cart." And I said, "Well, you go play golf. I will drive the golf cart."
Oh, that's great. I love it. I love it, right? I love it. Oh my gosh. So I want you to let's begin to think about kind of closing this out, right? Let's think about, what a great time we've had and making memories and I want you to think about giving somebody that might be watching or listening to this later a little bit of insight into Maria Adams. Give us a pep talk, like you would give folks because look, you've been through a lot and you have come through it in a way that your community's proud of, your family's proud of. I'm proud of you and proud to know you. And I'm just wondering if you would just leave us some, I don't know, some Maria isms or something. I don't know, as we get out of here and close out, right?
I mean, well, you have to remember how he's married to. Sergeant Major Adams would not want me to be, in the bed, depressed, crying, not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, not living. Um, so I always remember that. And I always, um, he knew he wasn't going to make it. And he always told me, if anything ever happened to me, you need to live because you're still here. And so I'm doing that, you know. He 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 made me very independent. So, if it wasn't for him, um I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that I've done because, I would be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Um but because, of all the deployments that he went through and being gone, traveling all the time, I had to learn to do a lot of things on my own. And, you know, I know he's still with me. Um, but, you know, I have to live and I have my kids to live for.
Amen. Well, you have a huge community of people rooting for you, right? The air defense community of all in the Army is so unique. It and the MI are really kind of interesting about the size and how closely we are together. And so, look, you got a bunch of brothers and sisters out there. If you ever need anything, or if you need some more backup, pow, 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 to take care of something, you let us know. We'll
Thank you.
deploy. We love the Adams family and you and your children. And look, Sergeant Major Adams, it was an icon to me and to so many others that worked with him, both below him and above him at every level in every time frame. He was a soldier, and you were a beautiful, wonderful, amazing support for him and the family, and doing everything that Household Six does. And I tell you what, I love you, Maria Adams. Thank you so much. Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Night.